It was reported in November that Victoria was the only state on track to meet its national housing targets while also adopting the livable housing design standard. So I was wondering if you could provide the latest figures for each state and territory for houses built under the National Housing Accord as well as affordable houses built under the National Housing Accord.
Senator, in relation to the second part of your question, the Commonwealth Government has a target of 55,000 homes, social and affordable homes, over the period until June 2029. In addition, the states and territories have committed to another 10,000 on top of that. Of the 55,000 that the Commonwealth has committed to, I think 5,500 are now complete, and approximately 24,000 are in planning and development. And the opening of HAF Round 3 is another 21,000 of those homes, which takes us pretty close. I believe that takes us to about 50,000 of the 55,000 from the Commonwealth perspective. The state and territory 10,000 is a matter that they're responsible for. Mr. Dowie might be able to give you an update about how we're progressing against the 1.2 million Accord target, which is, as you'll recall, is a target agreed to by all jurisdictions and industry and local government. It's sometimes reported as the Commonwealth Government's target, but it's actually a much broader commitment than that.
So just confirming, Senator Payman, you're after the number of homes that each state and territory have built in the first 12 months of the Accord. Is that right?
Yes. So just the latest figures for houses and affordable houses. So just that there's the two separate categories I'm after.
So I know that the Australian Bureau of Statistics records how much each state has built. I just don't have those information at hand but I'm happy to provide those to you on notice.
Thank you. Can you also provide a breakdown of the latest projections for both the number of affordable homes and the number of just normal homes constructed in each state and territory as part of the National Housing Accord?
So I might draw attention to... Part of that I can answer here and part of it I'll need to take on notice, but in terms of the projections that each state and territory, in terms of their built, I'll draw you to some forecasts the National Housing Supply and Affordability Council has done. So in their State of the Housing System report for 2025, they have forecast that New South Wales will build 246,000 homes over the life of the Accord period. That Victoria will build 300,000 homes, that Queensland will build 194,000 homes, that Western Australia will build 105,000, that South Australia will build 59,000, that Tasmania will build 13,000, the Australian Capital Territory will build 16,000, and the Northern Territory will build 4,000 homes.
Okay. But yeah, if you could do the breakdown and take it on notice, that's totally fine. Thank you. I was also curious to understand a breakdown of the difference between the current projections and the projections made at the announcement of the National Housing Accord. If you could point out any particular differences that you'd like to talk about now, or would you like to take that on notice?
So just to be clear, I understand your question. So when the Accord was announced, there was an initial target of 1 million. It was then subsequently increased to 1.2 million. There weren't any forecasts per se around that. It was just an aspirational target that people were working towards.
And when do you assess how well that's faring?
Oh, sure. So that the National Housing Supply and Affordability Council does do forecasts each edition of their State of the Housing System report. And the figures that I quoted earlier were from their 2025 version of the report that I think was published in around May of this year. So the expectation is that the National Housing Supply and Affordability Council will update those forecasts when it publishes its 2026 report in probably around April or May of next year.
Is there any particular penalties that will apply to state and territories who fail to meet housing targets, given that, you know, the investment the Commonwealth has made in funding state and territory governments to build housing?
Absolutely, Senator. There is $3 billion on the table for states and territories who achieve the appropriate share of the National Housing Accord target. Our current estimation is that 3 states and territories will be eligible for funding under that arrangement. So there is a very clear financial incentive and, or conversely, penalty, depending on performance against the National Housing Accord.
What are those 3 states?
They're Victoria, WA and the ACT.
Okay. Is WA signed up to the livable housing design standard?
I'm not sure that officers at the table could answer that question, Senator. We're happy to take that on notice for you.
My understanding is that they haven't signed up, and I was just curious to understand what explanation the WA government may have given you.
I believe that all jurisdictions are required to follow livable design standard silver standard as of the 2022 Building National Construction Code. But instead of me just speculating at the table, why don't I take that on notice?
Thank you.
Or Beck can...
I can provide some information, Senator. Rebecca Wilson, Acting Assistant Secretary of the Housing Industry Capacity Branch. The 2022 edition of the National Construction Code included the livable housing provisions, which roughly matched to the silver standard. That was adopted on a varying timeline of states and territories. It's my understanding that WA has adopted livable housing, or will. They may be on a pathway still to adoption. I can take on notice their exact kind of date and timeline if that would be helpful.
Thank you. That would be very helpful. And just finally, what policy decisions have the Victorian government made that have caused it to outpace the other states and territories in meeting the NHA targets?
Senator, I think that's really asking for a little bit of opinion or speculation. I mean, the reality is states have different policy settings in relation to land release, in relation to long-term strategic planning, in relation to planning system performance and delays, in relation to investment in social and affordable housing, and all of those in relation to skills formation. To be honest, to the questions that were being asked earlier about construction skills, there are different performances between states on that as well. So if you take all of those things together, you get the eventual outcome for housing supply. And there's no doubt that Victoria is currently experiencing better outcomes on housing supply than other jurisdictions.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know what's leading them in actually,
It's a combination
faring so
of...
well in this out, and
it's a combination
getting good outcomes, because other states can actually learn, or senators from various states can actually lobby their state governments and make sure that they're, if we've got a gold standard, let's follow that standard, right?
Well, Senator, I mean, there is a lot of very good work going on in states and territories on housing supply. I think the Secretary gave evidence earlier today that she's rarely seen heads of treasuries as exercised on an issue as she did on housing supply at the recent meeting of heads of treasury. I don't believe I've verbaled my Secretary in that description. All jurisdictions are very focused on this. Queensland has a $2 billion fund, the name of it, which escapes me right now. New South Wales is doing planning reform. The WA government is pursuing a range of different initiatives. But the outcomes are the outcomes. So that's...
Absolutely. Thank you.
Senator, my apologies. I'd just like to correct my earlier evidence. WA has not committed to include the livable housing standard, as you noted. That was my mistake. It was a different jurisdiction.
No, that's okay. But if you could, on notice, let us know if there is a projected timeline of when they might sign up and what explanation they've given for not signing up just yet.
Of course. And would you like also the timeline of all the other jurisdictions' adoption of those provisions?
That would be great. Thank you.
Senator Payman, if I just might come back to answer the question you asked me about how many homes each each jurisdiction to build. I've just got that information, which I'm happy
sure.
to give that to you now. So in the first year of the accord, New South Wales has built 42,581 homes. Victoria has built 55,764.
Sorry. And is this just homes or affordable homes?
Total homes.
Total homes. Would you be able to break that down? And I know the Chair would like to rotate the call. If you could provide it on notice and do the breakdown as affordable homes and normal homes. That will save us all a lot of time and get us out for lunch.